Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Adult Chair on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and right over there, journaling away, a feather quill in her hand, Michelle Chalfant.
Hello, Pete.
Hello, Michelle. I love this topic that we're talking about today. I really, really, really do.
Me too. I'm very, very excited about this.
Oh, yes. We are talking about the power and the gift of journaling. And you've got some news around journaling that we're going to talk about in just a minute. Before we do, head over to theadultchair.com. You can learn more about this show. You can subscribe to the show for free by signing up for our mailing list or find us anywhere finer podcasts are served with a quick search from The Adult Chair. We would love you to join the conversation on Facebook or Twitter. And there's always that private Facebook group, The Adult Chair. It continues to grow and continues to be a real center of vulnerability and discussion around change in your life related to the adult chair. I just love it. And, you know, we should say one more time, thank you so much for those who have taken a minute out of your day to head over to the Apple Podcasts or the iTunes podcast directory and sharing a kind review. Those reviews absolutely help others to find the show when they need support and they need direction. And this, if you want to help pay it forward, one way you can do that is leave a kind 5-star review in the iTunes Store or Apple Podcasts so other people can find the show easily. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yes, thank you all.
Okay, journaling. Michelle, we're talking about journaling. And when you and I spoke last week, so we, as we are wont to do, we talk on the phone occasionally. Mm-hmm. And this whole journaling thing popped up. I get this email. Hey, I just sent you these videos. I need them to go online for tomorrow. We're doing a journaling challenge, and I need it like right away. And the upshot was, yeah, I was just inspired. We just need to do this.
I was.
Does that pretty much sum it up?
That was kind of it, yeah. And I really appreciate you. You really turned it around and got it up where it needed to be online, and thank you.
Where did this come from you? Were you struck by something? Were you playing with open wires?
Yeah.
What happened?
I'm struck by lightning. Yeah, I mean, I have journaled off and on probably my entire life. I remember journaling in 4th grade and loving it. And I just have never been consistent about it. And I started journaling again. So and not only am I journaling, I made a commitment to get up every morning and journal. And I've been doing it for 2 weeks straight, where in the past I used to journal, like if there was something going on, I would sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and I would journal. Now, I just said, I'm going to commit to 30 days of journaling just for myself. And in about 2 weeks' time, I started realizing how I can't even tell you. I just started feeling more peaceful, and things would happen in my life that in the past might have rocked me a little bit, or I would have been emotionally thrown. And I said, I remember calling my husband. I'm like, I feel really peaceful. I don't know why, because this and that happened, and normally I'd be stressed out, but I'm not at all. I feel really okay. And he's like, well, what's different? I'm like, I'm journaling every day, and I just feel more centered and balanced, and I'm able to hold it longer than I have in the past. And I think it's got something to do with this journaling. So anyway, so one thought led to another. I think a couple more days went by and I kept feeling so peaceful and emotionally balanced. And then I thought, you know what? Everybody needs to do this and let's do it together. And so there came the idea. It was kind of one of those downloads, like, yeah, let's do a 30-day. Because I committed to myself to do 30 days or with myself. And I thought everyone needs to join me, because there's a power in collective anything, whether it be group prayer. Everyone is sort of praying together. We're very powerful, but there's a collective energy in writing together. And if we can get a lot of people to write together and journal together and process emotions and get their stuff out and connect to that innermost part of them for 30 days, not only does it create a daily habit, because that takes about 30 days, but gosh, the amount of healing that we can all do together would be amazing. So, and I know something else is happening in November when we start this on November 1st, Pete. So,
yes.
I know you want to explode, so go ahead and tell everybody what it is. I know you're
it's
excited.
not explode. I just get excited about this because I've been a part of it for a long time. If you've never heard of NaNoWriMo, it's called National Novel Writing Month, and NaNoWriMo is part of a nonprofit. It's all about building literacy through libraries and through words for kids in underprivileged areas, and so it's an organization that does a lot of good. And their central activity every year is National Novel Writing Month, where lunatics from all around the world gather to collectively sort of participate in the blood, sweat, and tears that comes from writing a novel. And it's not a terribly long goal. Like 50,000 words is the objective for NaNoWriMo. I've been a part of it, not doing it actively, but I've been a part of the organization for 14 years now. And so when you called me and said, I want to do national journaling, or I want to do this 30-day journaling challenge, I got so excited because it felt like it was meant to be. Like there is so much activity around just the love of words and the love of introspection and creating, like pouring a little bit of yourself out on the page every day, that it just felt so right.
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited about it. I'm like you. I have been personally journaling all my life in some way, shape, or form, but it's only really in the last couple of years that I journal a little bit every day. And it's thanks largely to technology that has helped me to do it. And I would love to share a little bit. And I know as we talk about sort of how you journal, I'd love to share a little bit about some of the tools that I use too, because I don't actually use pen and paper anymore. So, but close. So anyway, so that's why I got so excited about the journaling challenge. I think it's really great. I should say, before we get into some of the mechanics about journaling, here is what we have set up for the journaling challenge. Most of the conversation is going to take place in the Facebook private group. So you want to make sure you head over to the website. And if you are not a member of that group, click on the link to the group and request access, because that's where we want the community to share the stories of journaling, right?
Yes, but I want to say something about that. You don't ever have to share. I have talked to some people personally, and they've said, oh no, I could never do that because I don't want to share what I'm journaling about in front of all these people I don't know. And you don't have to do that if you're not comfortable. No.
That's not what we're even asking, right? I mean, we're not asking you to share your journals. We're asking you to share what you've learned about the process. How has it changed your life? Like those are the things we're looking for. We learn by just, sharing our process, and never would we ask you unless it's really important. Like it's something you feel really comfortable about, the floor is yours. And
by the way, people in there may talk about what came up for them in journaling. There are many people that are vulnerable in that group, and it's beautiful and it's fine. We can write whatever we want in that closed group. However, I want people to hear me say, you are not required to say a word in the closed group. And I noticed that other people have come to me and said, I can't post anything in that adult share group, but wow, do people get vulnerable? And I love reading what other people talk about. It's a real they are inspirational for me. So a lot of people have said that. So they may not post, but they're reading and they're learning. And maybe one day they will post. But I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
The journaling challenge, the 30-day journaling challenge, is for people by themselves, individually speaking. You don't have to be, it's part of a group collectively. And I want to use the word like energetically, or there's a collective consciousness around journaling. And maybe that's why I tapped into it now, Pete, because of what's gone on every November for how long.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just want to be clear. It's a group where you can sit, you can read, you can offer your thoughts on what's going on with you. You can put down what's happening in your journal, but you don't have to. But it's a wonderful group to even just read the post. So
the challenge is just for you to do it, not to share it. Just do it. Yeah.
Do it for yourself,
That's
not for anybody else.
Life, yeah.
Exactly, and it really will change you. I promise. It's a guarantee. There's no money back guarantee because it's free, but
it's free.
It's free, but I guarantee you, if you do this with us for 30 days, you will feel different at the end of 30 days. I will guarantee it. And if you are not, then personally email me and we're going to talk about it, because I don't understand how that's possible. It really does change us from the inside out. So it's powerful, powerful stuff.
Okay, so that is step one. Get into that Facebook group. The second step, if you'd like a little daily prompt, if you're not on Facebook all that much, I know I'm not actually on Facebook all that much. I need the external prompt, we have set up a new 30-day journalers mailing list. And so if you jump over to michellchalfant.com, scroll down just a hair, it's the second little block down on the page, and you'll see a place where you can add your email address to that mailing list. And then starting on November 1st, we'll shoot out an email each day with just a couple of lines from Michelle giving you a prompt to help you get your daily journal entry done. Give you a little bit of inspiration. So those are the two things that are really important if you want to jump in on this process.
Yes.
Anything
sure.
I missed? Nothing?
No, you got it.
All right. How do you journal?
How do I journal? Well, I believe that when we sleep at night, when everything's quiet, the mind is very much at work, and it is processing and working through things. And we do a lot of that, of course, in our dream state. But also, I really believe that we connect to something bigger than ourselves when we're sleeping. So we can get really these cool downloads while we're sleeping, and ideas can come in. So when we wake up first thing in the morning, and there's a lot to be said about putting a pen to paper. There's something that happens in the brain with our physical body, just taking a pen and writing. And we are able then to kind of take that download of information from the nighttime, slumber that we've had, and just, it comes out through our hand onto paper. So I like to journal first thing in the morning. And what I've been doing, I get up first thing in the morning and grab my book and sit and open it up and just start writing. But honestly, you can do it any time of the day, but there's something about first thing in the morning because the mind is in a different state than it is throughout the rest of the day. So that is when I journal. The other thing that I'm going to encourage people to do if you are taking up the practice of journaling is to not look at your phone. And that's a hard one because most of us wake up, grab that cell phone or get on the laptop, check emails, check Facebook, check social media, and then we start our day. I'm going to encourage everybody, I'm going to challenge you again to get up and journal before you do that. Because again, the mind has so much to offer from the evening. Let it come through you first thing in the morning.
I do almost everything the opposite of what you do. Now, I do agree with you. There is the act of putting a pen to paper, and that is something pretty special. I have found that it doesn't have to be a pen and it doesn't have to be paper for me. I am a huge advocate of the Apple Pencil and my iPad Pro, and so for me, I get up in the morning and I have a couple of apps that I use that I want to share. And this is just for me. This is not specific app recommendations. This is not a review, but this is what I use. There is an app called GoodNotes on the iPad that allows me to open up a piece of digital paper and write by hand on, just as if I'm writing on, in my journal, and it's beautiful. I mean, the handwriting is great. It looks just like my handwriting. It's the closest thing I've ever felt to actually writing on paper. So much so that it's my primary notebook now. And so I will do a morning journal first thing and just write a couple of sentences to a couple of paragraphs and to a page, and just talk about, here's what I want to get out of the day. Here's what I want to capture the day. Here's my daily sort of gratitude. Here's what I'm really looking forward to. And I send that after I'm done writing it by hand. I hit the little share button and I send that page to an app called Day One. And Day One is a Mac and iOS journaling app that is central to me being able to continue to pour my thoughts out of my head every single day. I love Day One more than any other app on my phone. And in fact, I've gotten rid of Twitter and Facebook, and Day One has taken over all of that because it prompts me. Twice a day, I have Day One. After sending my sort of intentional journal post into Day One for archiving, it'll give me a little alert that says, at 4:00 in the afternoon, hey, what'd you accomplish that you're grateful for today? Or who did you thank today, or whatever. And I just type a few little lines in my phone or on my iPad or on my computer. A little menu pops up and gives me a prompt to remind me to continue to pour things out of my head and heart and into this journal. And there is nothing I like more when I'm waiting in line, when I used to just scroll Twitter or just stare at Facebook. There's nothing I like more than opening up that journal and looking at how far I've come. Like I scroll my own posts and look at, this is where I've come. It has changed. That has dramatically changed my life and my overall well-being.
It really does, because journaling takes what's happening on the inside of us and brings it out.
Yes.
So we can see it. It helps us to process. There's so many beautiful reasons why that we should journal, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So, yeah, that's amazing. But honestly, so journaling, someone actually asked this question on the YouTube channel and said, what is journaling? And it's, again, like I just said, taking what's on the inside, what's going on in the mind, what's going on, on the inside of us, and bringing it outside of us. And we do that through, again, for me, it's pen to paper. But we can do it any time of the day. So if first thing in the morning doesn't feel right to you, then do it at a different time of the day, and do it twice a day or 3 times. However often you need to, go ahead and journal, but commit to at least one time a day. And other people like to journal at the very end of the day, and they talk about what happened throughout their day or what came up for them. Any way you want to do it is fine. It's a real special time. It's a sacred time. So I like to come up with a special place in my house. So or outside if it's warm enough. If it's warm enough, I love to sit outside on my deck. But if it's not warm enough, I'm inside. I have my incense going. I sometimes have a candle and my hot tea in the morning. And I really make it a special, sacred little place. And then I start writing, and it's quiet. Nobody's going to bother me. I know that I've got at least, for me, and again, people have asked me this, well, how long am I supposed to do it every single day? It's up to you. If I say you should journal 20 minutes a day and people go, oh my God, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this challenge. Then forget it. Then do it five minutes a day. For me, I set my timer for 15 minutes on that insight timer that we had talked about on the video. And inevitably, I typically go over 15 and I go to about 20 minutes. But if you want to journal an hour, go for it. There's no right or wrong time. It's very personal. So as far as how we do it, that's a big part of how we do it. Find a place, you sit and either use the prompts that come up with this 30-day challenge that we're doing. But really, it's about writing what's up for you in the moment. Are you working through an emotion? Then write about it. Are you sitting down and you have nothing to say? Then sit down and start writing about how you have nothing to say. And that will lead you someplace else, but start somewhere. So maybe you have a cramp in your leg. Write about the cramp in your leg, and you'll be amazed at where you start and where you end in your journaling experience.
That is huge. I mean, the whole idea behind just writing what's on your head, I think that's where people imagine that writer's block exists, and I'm one of those. I don't believe writer's block exists. I believe crappy writing exists.
Yeah.
But I don't believe writer's block really exists, because you can always write about your writer's block.
Yes.
You can always write about that. That is one of the greatest things that you can do, because all you're doing here is building that sort of internal habit, that internal muscle, that words come out of your head through your hand and onto a page. And it doesn't have to be good. Give yourself permission to make it just you're not creating Faulkner, right? You're just writing for you.
Right.
And you have to give yourself permission to do that.
Yes, exactly. And again, you're going to be amazed. The other day I journaled and I really had nothing to say. Nothing was on my mind at all. And I thought, okay, I'm in a really good place. So again, we're not journaling to fix anything. I want people to hear me say that too. Journaling is about connecting to the deepest parts of yourself or your mind or whatever's happening inside you. It's just connecting to the inside space. When I started journaling the other day and I said, I really don't have anything to say. So that was my first line. I have nothing to say. I'm in a good place. I feel really great, blah, blah. But then the pen starts going and going and going and going. And then all of a sudden I was into this whole gratitude practice. I didn't start there. I did not start saying this is a gratitude journal entry. All of a sudden I turned to, I'm just really grateful that I found the journaling. I'm really grateful that and I went on and on and on. And listen to the birds and the sun's coming up. I love this time of the day. And I just wrote about really positive experiences. So it's not always about fixing something. It's just connecting to whatever's going on inside of you. That's what journaling is about. And the more that we do this practice of connecting. It's like a muscle. We become stronger. We become more intuitive. We know ourselves better. We know what's going on. I mean, it's like it builds on itself, just like going to the gym every day. It's bringing what's on the inside out and getting to know what's on the inside. And we're not great as humans. We're not great at that. We typically avoid that, especially when there's something that doesn't feel good on the inside. We want to numb it out. We're not numbing it out here. This is another way of really connecting and getting ourselves in that adult chair where we are living consciously. And again, we're connecting to the inside. So the benefits of journaling would be, again, like I said, being more peaceful and centered. Because if I'm connecting into my pain or my physical or emotional pain or my struggles or my whatever, it actually, by writing about it, we start processing it. And it changes us. It changes how we see things. It changes our perspective on things. So it does help us to sit more in that adult chair and live a life with more consciousness. It really is like going to therapy every single day. But instead of having a therapist tell you what's wrong or what you need to do, you yourself come up with these ideas and solutions by journaling about them. It's amazing what your own intuition and your inside parts will give you, what will reveal to you by sitting and tuning into them.
For me, I'll tell you, and I think I know you have this on the list. I feel like there are two here that really give me that really fill a hole that I feel like is in my life, is not filled by any other way, and that is coming up with creative solutions to difficult problems. Right, this sort of increases creativity, but it helps me find sort of my path on things that I really struggle with, and I think once you get used to writing about that, and I'll even write in the language of like asking for help. Right, yeah. I need help doing. Would you help me with? I'm really asking myself. I'm asking myself. It keeps this in the back of my mind sort of all day long. So my brain is sort of always churning on difficult problems, even if I'm not working on those things. And I usually find by the evening or the next day, I have something new to write about. A problem is sort of feels like it's solved.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Things that we feel stuck on, we will feel unstuck when we start journaling about them. Because you know why? Here we go. It's like we slide into this adolescent chair where the ego exists and we just try to figure it out in the mind. It's not going to happen. We go in circles. So writing about it, it's like bringing the ideas into reality, into again, pen and paper. It's like, oh, then you can look at them and you read through them. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I haven't thought about trying this, or I haven't thought about trying that. So it really does. Absolutely. It helps us to feel like we're, absolutely more creative and unstuck with whatever we're dealing with. A lot of people come to me with, issues with, especially women, their kids are going to college. They're now looking at me going, what do I do now with my life? Because my kids are now going to college. I don't need to be a stay-at-home mom anymore. I don't know what to do. And I always say journal. Go home and journal. Find out what you want to do with your life now. Like, well, can you offer me some ideas? I'm like, I can, but you have the best ideas for yourself. Right.
The idea is go home and journal.
Yeah,
that is the idea.
Exactly. Go home and journal, and you'll be amazed at what comes through the journal. You'll be amazed at what comes through your journaling experience. And people will say, I lack passion. I don't know what I should do for a job now. I'm 40 something years old or 50 something. What do I do now? Journal. I promise you, it's going to get revealed through the journaling.
What is some thoughts on and the question is how long to journal, but that's not really the question. The question is what is your experience in how long it takes to feel like you're feeling a change through journaling? Because this is like when you say that I need a new direction in my life, I need to figure out a new career. Okay, I'll go home and journal today, but I better have it figured out tomorrow if if I'm going to keep journaling. And that's really not the guidance.
No, but it's kind of like if I'm driving from New York to California, am I going to do it in a day or am I going to do it in chunks? So what I find is it happens in chunks. You'll find out part one might be, oh, I didn't even think about this. Maybe I should do a resume. Or, I had this idea in my journaling. Let's just pretend I'm 45 years old. My kids are all gone and I want a job and I don't know what my passion is. So write about the fact I don't know what my passion is. I don't know what my passion is. I feel really stuck. My kids are gone. I'm sad about that. So that might be 1 or 2 days of a journal entry. And then all of a sudden you have this idea, I think I'm going to do a resume. Oh, you know what? I think I should go talk to so-and-so. They might be able to help me do a resume. And through talking to that person, they might give you an idea for a job. And then that really resonates with you. But if it's something big, hey, I have had experiences where I sit down for 20 minutes and it might go for 45 minutes because I can't stop writing. And I've got a solution in one sitting. It doesn't happen all the time, but it absolutely can happen. But I think that big things like finding our passion and big shifts, they may take a few journal entries. It might take a few times, but I'm telling you, I find movement inside of me with ideas and, I have a lot of ideas for the show through journaling or,
Right.
It just happens when it's time. So again, if the first part of journaling is that you need to do a resume, let's just say, then that'll happen in the first journaling experience. And then the second thing is this, and the third thing. So I can't give you an exact time.
I read a metaphor in a book that I would love to share because it anything that has a loose connection to your activity, any result that has a loose and often indecipherable connection to your activity this metaphor fits it. And it's been stuck in my head for several days now. I can't quite shake it because it's just become important to me. And that is of the infinite hallway. Have you heard this metaphor of the infinite hallway?
I might have. Let's hear it.
Okay, so you're in a long, long hallway, and you can't see where it ends, and you're walking down. You turn around, you can't see where it begins, and you're walking and walking and walking, and you don't know why you're walking there. And suddenly, you turn around and you hear way in the distance behind you, you hear a ball, or you hear the bouncing of a ball, and then you can see the ball. It's coming into focus, and it bounces and it bounces and it bounces right past you until it bounces on ahead of you down the hall, and it continues to bounce there until you can no longer see it, and eventually you can no longer hear it. And you could ask the question. You could stop and say, well, why is that ball bouncing? Who put it there? I need to know. I need to know why that ball exists in this hallway. Or you can just say, all I know is that the ball is bouncing. All I know is that I have come up with a change in my life. I don't know if it's directly related to something I journaled 5 years ago. I don't know if it's something that I need to write about this afternoon that is mulling around in my noodle. But what I do know is my life is changing, and journaling might just be that rubber ball. That as a result of the activity, things are changing that you are ill able to connect directly to journaling, but you can be sure that if you were to stop journaling, that trajectory would change somehow. Mm-hmm. So I feel like this is one of those things when people get really caught up in the why journal or what am I supposed to journal, like maybe it's just a rubber ball bouncing down the hall, right? Maybe you'd never get to know specifically. You'll never have an answer why, but I can tell you things will change in and around your life.
Yeah. They really do change. No doubt about it. It helps it can even help to heal our past. If there's something, again, we talked about feeling stuck, but if there's something in the past you just can't move beyond, journal about it. We get this different sort of insight when we're journaling, clearing out emotions. Sometimes even the other day I had knots in my stomach. I was walking around. I did not even know why. So that even links to anxiety and depression. And I sat there and I said, I don't know why I have knots in my stomach. And I walked around going, I have knots in my stomach. And then I thought, hey, I'm going to write about this in my journal. And I promise you this. This is what happened with my experience is I sat and journaled about it. It was an emotion. I talked about it. I journaled about it. I just, I can't remember what the emotion was. I think it might have been sadness or something. I feel sad about this. And the more I journaled about it, it literally was like I was sitting telling someone else and I felt heard and I processed it. And in the end, the knots in my stomach were gone. No more feeling of anxiety. And I went on with my day. So it was done.
It's done. You get to just move on. I actually have two more suggestions for things that you might consider writing about, and particularly in light of the sort of Michelle Chalfant 30-day journaling challenge, and that is practice the way you think about your life in relationship to the adult chair and the adult chair language. Practice using that language in your journaling when you talk about sort of how you're feeling about things, when you're clearing out your emotions, when you're assessing your relationship with anxiety and depression. Practice using your language around the adult chair and the adolescent chair and the child chair, and see how that fits for you. This is a great sort of blank canvas for you to start thinking about yourself in a new way.
Yeah,
so that's
and
number one.
Can I add to that too? Because
yeah, go ahead.
One of the things I talk about all the time with the adolescent chair, of course, and even the child chair, is what part of you is saying this, that, and the other thing. So if you feel like you're being really hard on yourself, or you're being controlling or perfectionistic or blaming or victim or whatever, connect to the part of you that feels like he or she is being a victim and write about that. Connect to that part and talk to that part. Give it a voice. Let it talk to you through your pen and paper again. So that's doing that's doing the adult chair work. And the inner child work, you can do the same thing. Connect to your inner child in the journal. What is your inner child saying? So you feel really sad? Well, can you get an image of your inner child and write to them? Write to them. You can write letters to them through the journal, have them write back to you through the journal. I mean, anything that comes to mind, go ahead and write about it.
Absolutely. And so I would add to this my second tip, and I started doing this in my own journal about a year ago. My parents started cleaning out their old photo albums and scanning photos that they have of, ancient family history, right? And they would send me these emails with these little stories about, with here's a picture of, Grandma Edith, or here's great-grandpa Claude, and he ran an apothecary in Oklahoma City when the city was founded. These little stories. And I found myself thinking, gosh, I can come to a new relationship with myself when I tell my journal these stories about my own family history. So I'll take that image and I'll drop it into day one, and I'll sit down and I'll just sort of type the story. Like, here's a story of Claude. And, as it turned out, Claude was a drunk, and he literally drank himself to death, and he was passive aggressive, and he was terrible to his family. And, I am really grateful that my family has learned so much about these issues, and that I'm in a different place than he was. And that has become an incredibly rewarding path to relate to my own family that I never met, that are generations old, but to feel like I have internalized a connection to them, and that I have grown generation over generation. I represent growth. And that has become enormously powerful as sort of writing that relationship to my inner adolescent, my inner child, writing to great grandparents long past gives me that same sort of reward.
Absolutely.
So,
powerful.
Yeah.
If you think about, we're going to, I'm upset about something, I'm going to, whatever it is, go toward alcohol, go toward drugs, go toward porn, go toward food, whatever it is. I've read this many times in articles. Journaling can be quite beneficial with addiction because, again, it takes us deeper inside of ourselves as to why we have this addiction to begin with. We've got to uncover what's going on within, and then we stop with this automatic reaching for the vice, whatever it is, to suppress that emotion or that circumstance that's deep within us. So if we can get to the heart of what's going on within us, we may not reach for the chocolate cake or the glass of wine. It changes what's going on within.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So that's it, right?
So, the bottom line is just do it.
Just do it. Take your 30 days, build the new habit, and get up on the journal train. We would love to have you and teach us what your process is. Now that we've shared a bit of ours, we would love to hear more about yours. Again, in that Facebook private group, sign up for the mailing list over at michellechalfant.com, and links in the show notes.
Yes.
That's it. Thanks, everybody. On behalf of Michelle Chalfant, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll catch you next week, seated firmly right here in the adult chair.